No one knew how they arrived. No one knew when they did. These were questions that would never find an answer, even if one were to ask them personally. All we knew was that they were not of us. They were not human. I remember the first time I saw them. They were tall, their skin incredibly smooth, as if they had just emerged from the womb. If my memory serves me correctly, there were 3 of them, 2 females and 1 male. Yet I am not even certain they possessed a sex at all. So much uncertainty. They approached our village, walking slowly and steadily. Their movements were smooth and deliberate. Had I not seen their legs moving, I might have assumed they were floating inches above the ground. Our people were stunned, not only by the sight of outsiders, which was rare enough, but by outsiders who seemed to belong to another world. The male outsider approached our tribal chief, speaking in a voice like silk, calm and deliberate, as he explained the purpose of their arrival. They wished to serve, to assist us in our struggle for survival. They spoke of their special abilities, gifts that would aid our way of life. At that time, our people were starving. The animals had grown frail and the crops were dying. Our chief, our protector, knew this well. What once would have been an easy decision, to send these strange entities away, had now become an opportunity. Warily, our chief agreed to their terms, but insisted that they accept ours. They would sleep in the rain-locked tent, just outside the village. We would provide them with what little food and supplies they required, so long as they pulled their own weight. The 3 creatures bowed their heads in unison and thanked the chief for his hospitality. And so this strange occurrence became our new life. I do not trust these creatures. There is something strange about them, an aura that feels dark, like the chill of cold breath on the back of your neck that makes the hairs stand on end. But I am not the one in command. I am merely a spectator, though I wish I weren't. These creatures soon revealed what special skills they possessed. They were shifters. They had the ability to change their form and walk as something or someone else. They lacked all restraint, all boundaries to whom or what they could become. The people were frightened, questioning what devious things a person might do with such power. But the creatures assured us that their talent would be used only for the well-being of humankind. Many of us were still uneasy. However, some saw opportunities in our new friends and believed them. I was doubtful. I needed proof that these creatures meant no harm with their abilities, and proof I was given. They walked as bulls to pull our plows, as cattle for the harvest of milk. They walked as horses to herd that same cattle, and as hens to lay eggs. The people's trust grew, so much so that the creatures walked as women again to give birth to our babies and repopulate the village. Years passed, and the people rejoiced in our friendship with the creatures, or, as we came to call them, the Munus, meaning gift of service. Yet I remained wary of our friends. My trust had not grown as the others had. It wasn't long before the Munus became bored with their abilities being confined to the farm and fields. Soon, they urged us to allow them to hunt with our tribe. Hesitant, we proceeded with caution, permitting the Munus to join us on our next hunt. They assured us that they would not be a burden, that they would make the hunt easier, and they kept that promise. They walked as bloodhounds, sniffing the air and dirt, following the trail of our prey. They succeeded, but were unsatisfied. Bloodhounds excel at finding prey, yet they lack the strength to catch and kill it. So the Munus walked as wolves, fast on their paws, quick with their bite, and still guided by scent. But with that power came noise, the crackle of twigs and leaves beneath them. The Munus then walked as mountain lions, silent and graceful in their stalking. They walked as bears, strong enough to kill another. They flew as falcons, scouting the land. All this brought them satisfaction, and the people praised them. That is, until the oddities began. These oddities would not have been so strange had they occurred in any other form, but it was as though their minds had become confused, unsure which form was truly their own. It started subtly. While the Munus primarily wore their human skin, one of them was found chewing grass while staring into the horizon. Another crawled on all fours through the village, panting and twitching its head. One of our people even heard a growl emerge from its throat. It was as if their animal skins were taking a toll on them, merging with their minds and blurring the line between beast and man. Even their appearance changed. What once were beautiful humans with flawless, silky skin had become rugged and coarse, their flesh blotched and their eyes bloodshot. I also noticed their height. Though I cannot be certain, I believe they had grown taller, perhaps 8 feet now. These creatures had never truly felt emotion before, only mimicking it to make us comfortable. But now they no longer tried. They would simply stare. Whether standing in their tent or out in the field, they would watch, motionless. It put me on edge. These tall, humanoid figures just stood there, their empty eyes following me as I passed. It was as though I could feel a hunger in their gaze. Could that be possible? Could their carnivorous forms have taken such a toll that they now hungered for the very flesh they wore? I wouldn't have believed it. Such a vile act. But that is what these creatures are. Vile. It was a dreadful night. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw theirs, those eyes staring into my very soul. I tossed and turned, but to no avail. Then I heard rustling outside, twigs snapping, muffled voices, and a dragging sound. I peered outside, and sure enough, I saw a trail. Something had been dragged. But what could have done it, and at this hour? It reeked of those creatures. The Munus had to be involved. I grabbed a torch and followed the trail. As I walked, I began to see blood staining the dirt's surface, as if something had been devoured along the way. It led just outside the village, where the shadows thickened. The closer I stepped to the edge of the light, the louder the sounds became. Crunching, tearing, and something else. Moans, like those one makes when savoring a delicious meal. I could not ignore the smell, the metallic stench of fresh iron filling my nose. A figure appeared in the torchlight, its back turned to me. It was hunched over, squatting low. From what I could tell, it was human, but not one of ours. It was them. Its skin was grayish, its hair long and dark, its arms bent at impossible angles, bones twisting beneath thin flesh. Hesitantly, I called out to the Munus, waving the torch just beyond its reach. Suddenly, all sounds stopped. No crickets, no wind, nothing. As if death itself had harvested every soul in the area. The Munus turned its head ever so slowly. As more of its face entered the light, horrors beyond imagining revealed themselves. Its mangled face was half human, half dog, and half something else. Its mouth dripped with fresh crimson as it held its prey, a woman, one who had been due to give birth soon. The Munus must have seen her as an easy kill, a feast that would last long. Rage built within me, but fear smothered it as I gazed upon the thing. The Munus looked at me with eyes so large and black, outlined by a faint red hue. Tilting its head, it dropped the corpse and began to approach. I shouted, warning it to stay back, swinging my torch, but it did not stop. Its curiosity or hunger outweighed its fear of flame. As it rose to its full height, it towered above me, mouth agape, eyes like daggers piercing my soul. It was neither man nor animal. It was a monster. Its body was a grotesque fusion of parts from countless beasts, all melded into a bloody, mangled entity. With a deep inhale, it let out a blood-curdling screech. My vision blurred as I clamped my hands over my ears and turned to run. The sound was so loud it felt as if the air itself had splintered around me. No doubt the entire village was awake now. It chased after me on all fours, its body an impossible blur of limbs. Off in the east, another screech echoed, then another to the west. They were closing in. They had planned this, herding us like cattle. Screams rang ahead as I sprinted through the village. Behind me, the Munus gained ground, its heavy footfalls thundering. When I reached the heart of the village, the sight before me froze my blood. A massacre. My people torn apart, tents engulfed in flame as the villagers fought desperately against the monsters. My rage surged, but only enough to drive my legs forward. I ran, my heart pounding as the Munus pursued me. The other two followed their comrade, joining the hunt for my flesh. This was the end. I was going to be ripped apart, piece by piece, my body split open like the animals we had butchered. Was this the price for our sins against Mother Nature? The punishment for our greed? Had we become the meat? Just when I thought I was done for, as I felt hot breath against my neck, an arrow shot through the air and struck the leader in the eye. It stumbled, dazed, the arrow jutting from its socket. The other two Munus stopped and turned toward the source. There, the remaining members of my tribe charged, their fear replaced by fury and betrayal. The Munus let out another ear-shattering screech as they lunged into the fray. I wish I could say I fought beside them, but I didn't. I kept running. From atop a rock, I watched as the battle raged. My people fought hard, fought proudly, but the Munus were too strong. They slashed through my tribe as a blade cuts paper. They bit the faces off my friends, tore through the men, stabbed the women, and devoured the children. I watched in horror as the final human scream was silenced by the crack of bone. The monsters stood upright, all three of them gazing at me, their white eyes locked on mine as though looking through me. Then, without warning, they scattered, running in different directions until they vanished into the woods. Were they satisfied? Had they had their fill of blood for one night? Tears welled as I fell to my knees, pounding the earth. I screamed and cursed their name. "Kill me, you monsters! Finish the job!" But I screamed into emptiness. No reply, no wind, only my sobs to fill the night air. I saw them once or twice after that. At first, it struck me as strange, until I learned the truth of their habits. They have a keen sense of hearing when their story is told. Their name need not be spoken aloud. The mere thought of them is enough to draw their attention. I witnessed this each time I shared my tale. I had hoped never to see their bloodshed again. Others survived their attacks, not by luck, but by design. The Munus always leave witnesses. They want their story to spread. It is a trap. Whoever tells this tale invites them in. They will stalk, deceive, and hunt the storyteller, wearing the skins of loved ones to trick their prey. Over time, they mastered their shape-shifting once again, hiding the monstrous forms I once saw. With this new, deceitful nature, the people decided they no longer deserved their original name. They were no longer worthy of the purity of the Munus. Henceforth, they were called something else, something darker. We named them Skinwalkers. I am sorry, dear reader, that you have found this story. I am sorry for the tragedies that await you, but I had to share my tale. It is a need I cannot deny. And now you will share it too. Because now your thoughts are swarming with this story. And that's all the Skinwalkers need.